Hello and welcome to RAF Halton for the annual celebration of RAF Sport here at this palatial setting, the former Rothschild mansion, Halton House, which of course is now the officers' mess here. And here to introduce the awards for 2022 is the Director of RAF Sport, Air Commodore Rich Fogden.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be pleased to know I'm not going to repeat what I said for 10 minutes earlier. Cos Perce has already harangued me for that. But I just want to welcome you again to the RAF Sports Awards for 2022. Brilliant to see some familiar faces, some not. I just want to thank a couple of people, if I may. Thank you to Air Marshal Rich Knighton, a little bit on him in a moment, who's our principal guest and who will present the awards today, and indeed to Cos Perce for making time in her diary, Air Vice Marshal Maria Byford for being here today as well. Thank you to my team and to this team around the RAF Central Fund and the RAF Sports Federation that help us to deliver sport for you and the wider community out there. Thank you hugely as well, obviously, to our sponsors today. BAE Systems can't be here today, but Classic Miniatures brilliantly, who provided the trophies for today. And of course, the plethora of other sponsors that we have, some of whom are here today. Hugely grateful to all of you for what you give our people to allow them to excel in sport. Just a couple of reflections on the year. I say this every year, what a brilliant, another extraordinary year. How long do you have extraordinary years before they become ordinary? And I don't think you ever can with what we've achieved. We've punched above our weight into services. We've seen Olympic athletes, Paralympic athletes succeed in RAF colours. We've seen with Phil Holcroft, the Atlantic Flyers cross the Atlantic in 30 days, rowing continuously, 2 hours on, 2 hours off, coming second at the first time of asking. Really sadly, we've lost two of our number from the RAF Sport family this year. Corporal Rex Farrer, motorcyclist, and Wing Commander Gordon Henderson from mountaineering on the British Mountaineering Expedition, British Services Mountaineering Expedition to Pakistan. Harrowing times for both. They leave a chasm for both families, I'd have to say. They leave a chasm for their families, their friends, for the services and their colleagues, and of course us. But I hope I speak for them, having been privileged to attend the services in respect of both of them, that they would want us to carry on in sport and not give up. And not giving up is a real hallmark of our sporting endeavour right across the spectrum of what people do, from grassroots all the way through to the international athletes we have here, some of whom never started their sport before they joined the Air Force, so that's a great example. Some of them clearly did. I'm also delighted today to have 4 Lifetime Achievement Awards represented here, 4 individuals who between them have given 160 years or more service to Royal Air Force Sport, and that's just brilliant in its own right, bearing in mind we've only been around for 104 years. Physical activity in sport is hugely important. Delighted this year to launch the RAF Central Fund Award for the station that has made huge efforts to promote physical activity and sport. And it's that continuum of the first step across the threshold of a gym or onto a field or whatever it is the hardest. And that support at unit level for your section, your squadron, your wing or whatever, to a unit level, into association, up to international level for some, is hugely important. But it doesn't matter how good you are, just come and have a go in sport. Just come and have a go and succeed by having a go. Succeed by getting a personal best, succeed by winning a bit, succeed by winning a lot. It's great for your physical and mental well-being, and we've got a couple of candidates in here, and Max Wall, whose article of the year is coming up in due course from RAF Active. And for those of you who do get the time, if you don't, I offer you should get it, to read Lauren Impey's article on her journey through sport in the service as well, which was published yesterday. So we've got a lot to be grateful for. Thank you very much indeed to all of you. I'll introduce Air Marshal Rich Knighton, who is an engineering officer by background, served on Nimrods, Tornadoes and Harriers. You'll know that none of those are still in service. Was the station commander at Wittering before he went on to a series of really critical and crucial jobs in defence. Delighted to welcome him back as Deputy Commander Capability in the Air Force and People, and that's part of the reason he's here today. He's also a good egg. And he's also a real champion of sport. He is the President of Powerlifting, the President of RAF Hockey. It's actually his combined service of UCAF Powerlifting and RAF Powerlifting, Hockey and indeed Winter Sports, hence the reason my plug earlier for the Winter Sports Championships coming up in January time on the way. He's also more talented in some other sports than he'll let on, and I'd say he's a huge example of how you can fit an awful lot into one single day. So it's a real privilege to have you here today. And on that note, I'd like to hand over to John and you to present the awards and John to narrate them. John, thank you.
Rich, thanks very much indeed, and thank you very much for the welcome there. I think it's the first time that people with the same name have been involved at such a level in an event like this. But over the next few minutes, we will be recognising some amazing sporting achievements, ladies and gentlemen, in the past 12 months, from people who are primarily airmen and women, and sports athletes, coaches and administrators, because they love their sport. Now, I'd like to ask all the nominees, when I mention their names, to please stand so that we can recognise them immediately. And all the nominees will receive the full citations when they come up to receive their awards, because there's an award for everybody. I'll be reading some fairly annotated, shorter nominations here. So let's start, shall we, with the Sportswoman of the Year. And our first one is Air Specialist 1, Claire Weston, for triathlon. Well, Claire is a survival equipment fitter based with 84 Squadron at RAF Active in Cyprus. She's had an exceptional year as a triathlete and swimmer based with the K1 Triathlon Club, one of the pioneers of the sport in the RAF. She won the middle distance K1 man triathlon and was the overall winner of the annual bay-to-bay swim from Lemmings Bay to Episcopes Tunnel Beach. If you know Cyprus, you know exactly what I mean. Away from Cyprus, she represented not only the RAF, but also Great Britain at the European Sprint Distance Triathlon Championships in Munich, among the leaders in the swimming and the cycling, before slipping back in the running. She was also sixth at the Inter-Services Standard Distance event. Claire also uses her sporting prowess to lead and support many charitable coaching and training projects, which she combines brilliantly with her demanding job on 84 Squadron. Air Specialist 1, Claire Weston. Our second nominee for Sportswoman of the Year is Air Specialist 1, Chloe Richardson from Athletics. Now, Chloe is quite simply the fastest woman distance runner in the RAF's 104-year history. This year has been phenomenal. 2 hours 33 for the marathon, 73 minutes for the half marathon, and 34 minutes 10 for the 10K. That time set at the Manchester Marathon, where she was fifth fastest elite female, shaved 4 minutes off her previous personal best at last year's London Marathon and gave her the Commonwealth Games qualifying time, denied only a place by other squad numbers in the England team. She captained the England team at the International Antrim Half Marathon in Northern Ireland, whether and everywhere she races proudly wore her RAF colours to promote the service in the best possible way. This year's success culminated in her selection for the Great Britain team at the European 50k Championships in Madrid, which was a great experience for her in a hugely tough event. Ladies and gentlemen, Air Specialist 1, Chloe Richardson. Our third nominee is Flying Officer Sarah Bonner for Rugby Union. Well, you'll notice that no one is standing up for the very obvious reason. There is someone standing up, actually, and I will mention her in a moment. I believe that's Flight Lieutenant Catherine Chambers. But Sarah is a new starter in the RAF. She's considered one of the best rugby players in the Premiership, with match-winning performances for Harlequins and with more than 30 Scotland international caps. She's out there, of course, in New Zealand, having helped her country to reach the World Cup, hence her not being here today. But she's done this while simultaneously completing her Phase 2 Provost Marshal training, often flying back from international matches to attend important lectures and packages to stay on track with her training. Sarah has also used her sporting endeavours and RAF career to promote the service and health and well-being, particularly mental health. Her selection for the Elite Sports programme has allowed her to focus on her rugby, which all rugby fans have been looking out for in New Zealand at the World Cup. Flying Officer Sarah Bonner, represented here by Flight Lieutenant Claire Chambers. So I'm sure you'd agree, ladies and gentlemen, three excellent nominees. And I'd now like to invite Dr. Eamon Malloy, Chair of the Central Fund Board of Trustees, to announce the winner. I'll just bring the microphone over for you, Eamon, so that you can announce it for us.
And the winner of Sportswoman is Flying Officer Sarah Bonner.
And if all three of our nominees could come up, please, to collect their trophies. Now, at this stage, ladies and gentlemen, of course, I would be doing an interview with the winner, but we can't do that for obvious reasons. However, I can tell you that for our viewers who are watching now, we were able to get a reaction from Sarah out in New Zealand, and she is now going to be telling our viewers exactly how she feels about winning the award.
A little bit shocked, really humbled, nominated alongside two other incredible athletes. And yeah, I don't know, it's amazing really. I do what I love, and I'm so thankful for the support through the Royal Air Force and my branch, the police, to let me train and play, and have put me in the best position to make the Scotland team to be in this World Cup. So I definitely couldn't have done it without the Air Force's support. And yeah, I just hope to make everyone proud. Like, each time I put on the Scotland jersey, I know I'm representing my other life in blue, and that's the Air Force. And I'm deeply honoured and grateful to have this opportunity.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sarah Bonner, your Sportswoman of the Year. I'm told there's someone with a car that's blocking everyone else in the car park. We're not quite sure what the registration number is. Can you...
EN19 HNZ or something. It's in the back car park. Somebody's just gone. Perfect. Carry on.
We are live, ladies and gentlemen. This is live TV. Let's move on then, without further ado, then, to the Sportsman of the Year. And we'll start with Air Specialist Luke Pollard for triathlon. Now, Luke, of course, is not here today, unfortunately, but he is on the verge of leaving the Royal Air Force as a logistics supplier. He's been part of the British Triathlon World-Class Performance Programme for the past 4 years. Few will forget the heartbreak he, as a guide to British #1 para-triathlete Dave Ellis, suffered last year when the chain snapped on their bike during the Paralympics visually impaired triathlon in Tokyo. But they picked themselves up and they finished the season as European champions. After their toughest of training programmes at Loughborough University and competition, they went the whole year unbeaten, going into the Commonwealth Games visually impaired triathlon at Sutton Park as clear favourites. They not only claimed the gold medal, but left the rest of the highly talented field in their wake, finishing an amazing 4 minutes clear of the rest of the field. And this week, and after that, they went on to win the gold medal at the World Para-Triathlon Series as well. Before joining the World Class Performance Programme, Luke was 5 times Inter-Services champion, a truly outstanding athlete. That's Air Specialist 1 Luke Pollard, represented today by Squadron Leader Rob Scuthan. Our next nominee is Lance Corporal Shanwayne Stevens. Now, Shan spent 7 years as a gunner in the Queen's Colour Squadron before being awarded elite athlete status in 2018 for athletics and shooting. But it's bobsleigh that's his passion. His first exposure to the sport came in 2015 and success in the RAF team. But in 2017, he was selected to represent Jamaica as a development pilot. Despite numerous hurdles and challenges, and with a tiny budget this year, he led a largely organised the Jamaican team of 5 to the Beijing Winter Olympics, a truly groundbreaking performance. Shan is consistently there, balancing work and international duties and contributing massively to developing and promoting the sport in the RAF. Lance Corporal Shanwin Stevens. And our third nominee today is Sergeant Andrew Lockhead for cycling. And sadly, Andrew can't be here with us either. Andy, an aircraft technician based at Lossiemouth, has raced for the RAF in downhill and enduro for 10 years. But this year has been an outstanding one for him. Racing in the Enduro World Series, he came third in category in the Scottish Series at Fort William and won the Aberdeenshire Enduro Series, while securing top 20 finishes in several European events. He's now been chosen to compete for Great Britain at the Trophy of Nations in Italy later this month. All this and huge success as British and service events without the benefit of elite athletic status, having to fit in his sport around a tough work schedule. Sergeant Andrew Lockhead, and he's represented today by Flight Sergeant Craig Hartley. So let's find out then who the RAF Sportswoman Man of the Year is. Air Vice Marshal Maria Byford, maybe you'd be kind enough to let us know.
If I can get into the envelope, I'll be delighted. And the winner of the Sportsman of the Year award goes to Lance Corporal Shanwayne Stevens.
Now, Shan, you're not done yet, I'm afraid. It's interview time. Congratulations, well done.
No, thank you very much.
What does it mean to you to be RAF Sportsman of the Year?
It's definitely it's a shock. It just goes to show that the hard work and determination that you put into being a sports person, it finally pays off. The support from the RAF has been absolutely fantastic. From when I got the opportunity to compete for Jamaica, we brought it to the sports board, asked if I could go elite, and from the get-go they supported me and provided me with everything I've needed so far to achieve the goal of making the game. So without the support of the RAF, friends and my beautiful fiance who looked after my baby girl, I left at 8 weeks, when she was 8 weeks old, to qualify for the game. So just a big thank you. Yeah, just a massive big thank you, really.
now, just tell us what it's like to be out there in the World Cup events and obviously the Olympics, the Winter Olympics, because the bobsleigh fraternity, you're a really close bunch, aren't you? You look after each other. Yeah,
we are a really close knit team. The whole community helps each other out. As we've said before in the citation, Jamaica, our funding is very limited, and Canada graciously helped us out with a four-man sled. They loaned us a sled, and we managed to qualify for the games for the first time in 24 years in that sled as well. So, yeah, it's a massive achievement.
I mentioned in the citation there that, you know, your budget is tiny. I gather the Germans probably spend more on waxing their sleds than your entire budget.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It's a game of who has the biggest budget sort of normally wins the medals. But like I said, as a team, we never give up. We always keep going, and we managed to qualify for the games and qualifying both sleds as well, both the two-man and the four-man. And it's the first time we've ever done that in the history as well. So.
And no one can match someone like Friedrich, can they?
No, he's on a different level, but in time, I'm sure I'll get there.
Sure you will. Shanwin Stevens, ladies and gentlemen, your Sportsman of the Year.
Thank you.
Right, next we come, ladies and gentlemen, to the Sport Team of the Year. And we'll start with athletics and the ladies cross-country team. This year, for the first time since 1988, the RAF ladies proved too strong a team for the Army and Royal Navy to win the Inter-Services title. Tactical training for cross-country as a team event is particularly difficult, with the Sir Sefton Branca and RAF championships held before the Inter-Services, the only competitions from which to select the final team. But the close-knit squad had worked tirelessly, often in individual programmes, to train and prepare as best they could. And here at RAF Halton, on the 10th of February, Chloe Richardson led them to a famous win, denying the Army for the first time since 1988. That's 34 years. The RAF ladies cross-country team, ladies and gentlemen. Our second team is squash and rackets. This is the men's squash and rackets team. For 3 decades, the Army have dominated inter-services squash. Only twice have they been not been champions in that time. But in April, the RAF men's team were victorious. And against all the odds, 3 of their top 6 players were ruled out. 2 under-25s stepped in to make their debuts. The RAF has dominated the under-25 championships for the past 5 years. So when the seniors beat the Navy 3-2 and the Royal Navy saw off the Army 3-2, the RAF had their chance to win on the specially built Commonwealth Games show court in Birmingham. However, they lost 3-2 to the Army. The championship, therefore, the championship, therefore, had to be decided on count-back. The RAF won 27 games. The Army 25 and the Navy 22, making the Royal Air Force the champions for the first time in 10 long years. Ladies and gentlemen, the men's squash and rackets team. So next we move on then to the senior men's hockey team. The senior men's hockey team have continued to excel in both the indoor and outdoor inter-services competitions. They've successfully retained both titles for 5 consecutive years and in 2021 lifted the post-COVID Centenary Cup. This period of domination marks a transformation of the team that failed to deliver for so long. But great coaching and an emphasis on sports science and player development means they've now equalled the similar runs of the Army in the late 90s and the early 2000s. And I can tell you, they can't wait for the 2023 season. The Army men's senior hockey team, the RAF senior men's hockey team. So, who are the team of the year? Well, I'd like to ask Group Captain Fergus Garwood, who's the station commander at RAF Halton, to name the winning team. I shall come over to you, sir, with the microphone.
Thank you. Air Marshals, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the Sports Team Award is the ladies cross-country team.
And I'd like to mention all the ladies' team, if we can. They're not all here today, obviously. I think they're being represented today by Squadron Leader Who's representing the team? I don't have that bit of information, but let me just tell you the team, because they've all done extremely well. They are Corporal Chloe Richardson, Corporal Kath Corrie, Air Specialist 1 Philippa Baxter, Squadron Leader Joanne Johnson, Flight Lieutenant Kimberly Adams, Corporal Chloe Finley and Corporal Victoria Williams, with their team manager Helena Schofield. So do we have a representative who would like to come up and collect the... It's Squadron Leader Joe Johnson. I do beg your pardon, Joe.
Sorry, sir. Yep, you read my line, sir.
And the men's hockey team, please, if they'd like to join us. Represented by Squadron Leader Stephen Klukowski. And the men's squash and rackets team, represented by Air Specialist 1 Oscar Hill. And his friend. So, Chloe, as you're the closest by in terms of a member of the team, maybe you could just come and give us a very quick chat, really, about how successful the cross-country team have been this year. I think you finished about 10 years ahead of everyone else. Well, nothing quite like that, but it was a terrific performance nevertheless from the team, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was amazing, and to find out it had been that long since the RAF team had won, it was quite special. And our team manager was crying at the finish. It was an amazing day.
What's made you so good this year?
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
No, I mean the team.
Oh, the team. I think we just worked really well together. We were excited. We knew we had a really good chance of winning. And because it's not been done for that long, there was a special we were really motivated. We all had our little lucky blue ribbons in our hair. We just knew we had a good chance, so we went for it.
And you were here at Halton, of course, for not only that, but the Sir Sefton Branca and also the RAF Championships. Did that help you?
Yeah, definitely. We knew we had a strong team, and there were questions of changing the course. So we knew what worked best for us, and we made advantage of it. And yeah, went well. Worked.
Congratulations, Team of the Year, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks.
RAF Cross Country. Thanks for that, Chloe. I know you weren't expecting to be interviewed there. Let's move on then to the sports official and the coach of the year, shall we? And our first nominee is Squadron Leader Phil Ree, squash and rackets. Phil has had a meteoric rise in the world of squash officiating. 4 years ago, after a rigorous selection programme, he was recruited from scratch into the England Squash Mission Training Scheme with the aim of officiating at the Commonwealth Games. It took huge dedication and commitment to take on the challenge, achieving in 3 years what normally takes 9. After officiating this year at many top-level events, including the British Open, he was selected as the National Technical Official for the Commonwealth Games and also officiated the National Championships men's final in June. Just rewards for his outstanding efforts. Squadron Leader Phil Ree. Our second nominee for Official of the Year is from football, Corporal Lauren Impey. It's been an unbelievable year in refereeing for Lauren after being promoted to a Level 1 official. Operating in Women's Super League, she has officiated at the highest level. She's the only female in UCAF to have achieved this. Her highlight was to referee the Women's FA Cup final last December at Wembley, and she represented the FA at the UEFA Under-17s Championship. She balances this with her military career and is preparing, I believe, for deployment to Iraq on Op Shader. Corporal Lauren Impey. And our third nominee for this prestigious award is Flight Lieutenant Catherine Becker-Jones, RAF Canoe. Becker has made an outstanding contribution to her sport as Association Deputy Chair and coach to the freestyle kayaking team. As an accomplished athlete in her sport, she took over as Deputy Chair 18 months ago. Her coaching skills and ability have been a major factor in the RAF team maintaining their inter-services title for the past 4 years. She's described as the glue holding together many of the association's events and RAF successes. That success was not unnoticed, and she's now been recognised by Team GB as a coach. Her recently ratified Freestyle Specific Coach Award allows her to assess paddlers and award British Canoe certificates. Her priority is the development of others. Flight Lieutenant Becker-Jones. And the RAF Official of the Year will now be announced by Air Commodore Rich Fogden, Director of RAF Sport.
And it's Corporal Lauren Impey.
And if Becca and Phil could also join us. And if I could now invite Lauren to come and join me here for a very quick chat. Lauren, if you come on this side. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Now, tell me, it's not been a bad year for women's football, has it? Particularly if you support England.
No, it's been absolutely phenomenal. Honestly, what the England team has done this summer is just propelled the women's game into a new planet. You know, and genuinely, the spectators have gone through the roof. You know, I refereed at the Amex Stadium in front of 5,000 fans, you know, for the Brighton Hove Albion game versus Reading. You know, then we've got the Emirates Stadium. There were 47,000 people there at the stadium. It's just unbelievable. The interest has just gone absolutely through the roof, and it's no surprise. Has the interest therefore gone up in refereeing and officiating for females, do you think? No, I wouldn't say so, because to be honest with you, I don't think anybody wants to be a referee, probably. You know, when they come through and they first start off playing football and things like that, no one thinks that they're going to end up being the referee. But hopefully, with the skill level that's on show now, you know, those that obviously don't necessarily have a career in football because maybe they've reached the end of the road, or maybe perhaps they actually want to be a referee, you know, opportunities do exist, and they exist for all. You know, it's not just, you know, the hierarchical side of things, you know, yeah, so. Okay, you say no one wants to be a referee. You do. Yeah, I do, but that came from my own personal journey where I was playing for Leicester City at the time. My team. Okay, your team, yeah. So I was playing for Leicester City at the time, and we had a referee, and unfortunately I gave away a penalty, which I, hand on my heart, promise you was not a penalty. It was 3 yards outside the box. But that is what made me either think, right, you can keep complaining and do absolutely nothing about it, or you can try and be a part of the change. So from then, 2015, I took up the whistle, and honestly, I just haven't looked back. You're saying we was robbed? We was robbed? What? Oh, well, the women's. Yeah, we were robbed. We were robbed. But everything happens for a reason, and it's got me to where I am today. So, I want to ask you one last question. How useful would VAR be for you in the Women's Super League? yes, it would be, but at the same time, as a football fan myself, if I'm answering this question, I just think that it takes away, you know, the conversations that you would have with your friends in the pub afterwards, or even walking back after you've gone and watched your team play football. But I do think with how the game is growing in the women's world and the money that is available and is going to go on to be available, then it needs to be there to support and enhance decision making where it's appropriate.
Well, Lauren, without people like yourself, we wouldn't have any sort of sport, military sport, professional sport or whatever. So congratulations on this, which is so well deserved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sean.
So let's now move on to the Sports Administrator of the Year, shall we? And we'll start off in motorsport with Warrant Officer Chris Slater. Now, Chris is an outstanding and, dare I say it, driven RAF Motorsport team manager. Having set up the Armed Forces Race Challenge several years ago, he's continued to innovate and improve it, keeping the series at the leading edge of the national racing calendar. His passion has helped develop many young RAF drivers, helped by a package to deliver 2 cars for novice racers, and has even involved the building of a 3rd car, which happened live at this year's Royal International Air Tattoo, Riyadh. He's now looking at making motorsports more sustainable, and that's through data development and also the use of synthetic fuels, an initiative that's years ahead of Formula One. Warrant Officer Chris Slater. Our second nominee is Flight Sergeant Samantha Williams for basketball. Sadly, Samantha can't be with us here today, so I will read her citation. Sam has been a key figure in RAF and UCAF basketball for many years. She's treasurer and manager of both the UCAF men's and women's teams. After the recovery of sport from COVID-19, she was a driving force in getting the SHAPE International Tournament restarted, despite being based in Malaysia. She also led from the front, despite having retired as captain in 2011. She came back to assist with a player shortage for the team in the spring, and she helped the RAF team win their first inter-services tournament, you guessed it, in 11 years. Flight Sergeant Samantha Williams. And our third nominee today is Sergeant Robert Fair for Rugby Union. Robert has been dedicated and inspirational servant to service rugby at all levels over many years. In that time, he's been player, coach, kit manager and most recently manager, making a difference to literally hundreds of service personnel, perhaps most notably at RAF Brize Norton. For the past 3 seasons, he's been team manager for the UCAF under-23 team, and he's coached his juniors for his civilian club. This year, he was unanimously voted an honorary cap by the RAF Vultures for his unstinting work. Sergeant Robert Fair. And could I ask Marlene Annix of Classic Miniatures, who provided the trophies for today, to very kindly announce the winner. I'll come over to you. Well glued.
Sorry. And the winner is Robert Fair.
And could I ask Squadron Leader Heather Routledge-Black, please, to come up and receive the award for Samantha Williams for basketball. Thanks very much, Heather. Robert, interview time. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Now tell me, what's the bit you enjoy most? And you've done virtually every job there is to do. I presume playing actually takes the precedent, but what's the bit you enjoy most?
Staying in the background, not being interviewed.
Not what I heard.
No, genuinely, so, like you mentioned, as a player, it was fantastic. I had some amazing experiences at station level. My talents didn't quite stretch to the representative level as much as I would have loved them to. But then, unfortunately, injury quite early on, age of 29, so I had to retire from rugby, and I put my efforts into staying involved with the game in the administrative side, be it coaching or managing. And I've had some amazing experiences. So, like you mentioned, coaching or helping out with the under-23s, if I can give those guys a foundation to go on to do half the experiences I've had with representative rugby, I've done a great job. With the Vultures, my boys, we still think we're the under-23s, we still think we can play that well, we still think we can drink that well, but it's just amazing to keep your boots on and carry on that sort of rugby ethos, getting together, seeing mates that we haven't seen for months, weeks on end.
You think that for 80 minutes, until 80 minutes, then it takes 2 days to get over it?
Absolutely, yeah, like a car crash, but yeah, it's all good.
I mean, what's the worst job? Is it cleaning all the kit?
No, again, it's you've got to ask the wife that. But no, it's
okay. We're getting down to the nitty gritty of it now.
No, I still do it. It's just the washing machine gets tied up for a few days here and there. But no, it's fantastic. It's just again, everybody here today, the people in my category again. I know they'll only have done it because they've got that love for the sport that they're interested in, and nothing is difficult. When you've got that love for a sport, nothing's difficult.
Well, there's an awful lot of people, as you said in the citation, who've got every reason to be very grateful for what you've done, and you are very worthy of being Administrator of the Year. Robert, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Now, we move on to the Lifetime Achievement Awards, and something that you might have heard earlier is that more than 160 years of combined service is represented here. Let's start with Wing Commander Roy Brunning for triathlon. Roy is the Performance Director for the RAF Triathlon Association, a gifted coach, talented athlete and unswerving in his support to RAF Triathlon for more than 30 years. So much of the success of the sport in the RAF, in organisation, mentoring and support, is down to him. A posting to Saudi Arabia in recent years has done nothing to reduce his commitment. Roy is described as the beating heart of RAF Tri, as he continues to support those from right at the start of their careers to those who have reached the pinnacle in the sport. RAF Triathlon will be forever indebted to him. Wing Commander Roy Brunning. Air Commodore Chris Egan, badminton. Chris's contribution to RAF badminton has spanned decades. From initially as a player in the 1990s, he played at all levels, interstation, command, RAF and UCAF, both at home and overseas. But his lasting contribution is through his leadership, dedication and terrific oversight of the sport. From captain to chairman and president of the RAF and UCAF associations. The senior men's RAF team has been victorious in all but 4 years of his association with it, and in many ways, that says it all. His involvement now reaches into Badminton England as board member for player development, including disability badminton and the sport's national governing body. Air Commodore Chris Egan. Flight Lieutenant Liam Perry, motorsport karting. In nearly 50 years of service, Liam has been involved in karting for more than 30. His work supporting karting at RAF Cosford exemplifies that commitment. It is conservatively estimated that at Cosford alone, he's provided more than 1,000 Phase 2 trainees with an opportunity to develop their interest in the sport. Safety and motorsport have to go hand in hand, of course, and Liam, in his role as an aeronautical engineer, has helped develop the highest standards to air safety that has been applied across the Air Force. This has also been applied, of course, to safety and duty of care in karting. For more than 11 years, he's been at the heart of the Armed Forces Championships, securing funding for and preparing the machines to the highest level with dedication and great care. Flight Lieutenant Liam Perry. And our fourth Lifetime Achievement Award today goes to Warrant Officer Tony Stead for table tennis. Tony is quite simply the champion of table tennis as an inclusive sport. He's introduced it to service personnel all over the world, from the Falklands to the Middle East. He's represented the RAF at the Inter-Services Championships for 28 years, including every year since 1994. He's been part of the Inter-Services winning team 20 times and achieved huge regional success over the years, and a national ranking of 169 in the veterans and 249 in the seniors. He's taken on every role on the RAF Table Tennis Association Committee, including chair, since 1989. He's been at the centre of fundraising to set up academies to improve players with national standard coaching. In short, he's given everything he could to RAF table tennis and has made it richer, more inclusive and more competitive. Warrant Officer Tony Stead. And so it's time, I think, for the presentations to be made to all four of our Lifetime Achievement Award winners. If they could come up, please. Actually, Roy, while you're just sat down, maybe we can get you back up again, because obviously we'd like to have a chat with all four of you when you've finished doing your presentations, having your photos taken.
There we go. Thank you for your patience. Sorry about that. Like you said, this is live.
Absolutely. And gentlemen, if I could get you to just come over here and have a quick chat with us, please. All of you at the same time, because then and let's bring Roy in as well, who went and had a sit down as well. Well, Liam, you're closest to me. So let me talk about karting. I mean, for obviously all four of you, this must be an incredible honour to be here, to be honoured here for a lifetime of work. Does it seem like a lifetime?
No, I'd still like to continue, and I probably will, with the colleagues that have worked with me for over a decade. I've spent 21 years running, not 11 as you announced, but 21 years. Hopefully I'll get a few more yet, and hopefully we'll get a lot more young people improving themselves and finding things that they otherwise wouldn't have done.
I mean, it's a great time, isn't it, to get started when you literally are starting out in a career to get involved with the motorsport.
Yeah, and thanks to my colleagues that have come with me, they go and make sure that they all have a go.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's what we want to do.
Chris, exactly the same with you, presumably for, let me just sneak in here, for badminton, because, you know, it's been a fantastic time, hasn't it?
I think the issue with winning a Lifetime Achievement Award is people think that that's the end. Your life is over. But it's not. I mean, only this weekend I was playing in an over 50s tournament, I know. Well prompted. And it never ends. It's all about being competitive. But I think probably for all of us, your focus switches from being a player to enabling others to be players and to be better players. And that's certainly what drives me.
That's fantastic. And Tony, if I can bring you in, if I just sneak through here and have a quick chat. Tony, table tennis. You are Mr. Table Tennis for the Air Force.
Yeah, I would say that. You can't do it without the people around you. So it's about the support from the Director of Sports and the Central Fund. Without the funding, we could not have the equipment. We don't have the support to bring new people from absolute novices to the Air Force team. Being a member of the winning team, 20 of the last 21 years in the first team at my age, and I was selected this year and we won it, and I'll be selected next year and we'll win it. So there you go.
That's confidence for you.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Congratulations to you. Roy, let me finally, last but by no means least, bring you in here. And triathlon. It's a great sport, isn't it? We've already, obviously, you've got one of the nominees here today from triathlon, and obviously two nominees, in fact, if you include Luke Pollard, who's been amazing. But there's you at the core, at the centre of it.
Yeah, the team have done well, and triathlon's taken on massively since the 2012 Olympics when the Brownlees brought it to fame. It's been around a lot longer than that. I got into it from a rugby injury, couldn't do contact sports anymore. So then took up the sport of triathlon. It's quite new then. It wasn't even an RAF Sport. It was unheard of, unfunded. So it's come a long way. And then to have the likes of Luke competing at the Commonwealth Games and the Olympics, to have Claire here today, nominees last year. Yeah, the sport's come a long way. And it's, you know, it's just a really hard, challenging sport that people seem to get into.
It must feel so satisfying to know that you've played such a major part in it.
Yeah, from competing, I still compete myself to a reasonable level for an old bloke, and it's just nice to do the development part, and as all the other guys have said up here, you know, bring other people through in the sport and hopefully give it a good long future.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you'd agree that Roy, Chris, Liam and Tony are extraordinary. 160 years between them of service to RAF Sport. I think that deserves a round of applause, don't you? Follow that, as they say. Let's move on then to the Station Award. This is the brand new award for this year, and 3 RAF stations have been nominated. The first one is RAF College Cranwell. Now, when the COVID lockdown restrictions were eased, the PED flight embarked on a substantial campaign of adventurous training, reinitiating the Hawk schemes of a single-day mountain biking and hill climbing event to get as many people as possible taking part. They're represented today by Wing Commander Alison Norton. RAF Benson, who adopted an inclusive and holistic approach to promoting physical activity to the whole force and station community. The result is that in all groups, the station has reached its target of 90% plus RAF fitness test pass rating, faster than any other unit. They're represented today by Wing Commander Laurie Tostervin. And thirdly, RAF Coningsby, which with a whole force population of 2,600 has unique challenges, but it connected and delivered Project Delipsus to create inclusive and extended access to sport, well-being and fitness through huge initiatives, extended PED timetables and closer links with individual sports clubs, and by also taking sport directly to the front line, with mobile gyms, taking PTIs to squadrons and delivering sport at times as places that were suitable to them. And they're represented today by Warrant Officer Gareth Evans on behalf of the RAF Warrant Officer.
It's actually like Nick Corrigan, if he could stand up, and then Gareth will raise who it is. Nick, sit down again.
Well, let's see who we are going to actually announce that. And I think the winner is going to be announced by Warrant Officer Gareth Evans. So let me just come over to you, Gareth, very quickly.
And the winner of the Station Award, goes to RAF Coningsby.
Congratulations to all three of the stations who did such a remarkable job in bringing sport back into the fold again after COVID and various other ways too. And this brings us then to the last of our awards today, the RAF Active Article Award. Now this year, 3 articles from the RAF Active magazine were shortlisted. Craig Eagle by Mrs Katie Dunavy, which appeared in issue number 85. Row for Recovery by Sergeant Stacey Denyer, which was in issue 86, and A Personal Story by Warrant Officer Justin Max Wall, which also appeared in issue number 86. One article stood out, and this was the judge's comment. Warrant Officer Justin Max Wall's story of recovery, a touching recount in which Max describes how he turned to cycling as a vehicle for improving his mental well-being, a similar challenge which so many of us are able to relate to. The frank narration of his journey in overcoming a sadly all too frequently occurring illness is one more step to opening up the honest and frank discussions on mental health. He simultaneously highlights the inextricable link between exercise and emotional well-being by discovering and then proceeding to share with us his recognition of the importance of keeping active for maintaining a sound and healthy mind. Not only is this an exceptional example of determination to overcome adversity, Max has also gone one step further in using his own experience to reach out to those who find themselves in similarly difficult conditions. This elevates a touching personal story to a successful address of a key problem in society and hopefully will remind and inspire more people to realise the full benefits of keeping active and incorporating exercise into their lives. Ladies and gentlemen, the RAF Active Award winner for 2022, Warrant Officer Justin Max Wall. Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the last of our awards to be made. And I'm hoping now we can invite...
Just very briefly, John, thank you to you brilliantly for presenting for us. If you wonder why Nick didn't get interviewed for the stations, the RAF Central Fund Station Award, we'd be talking at 11 o'clock tonight. But Nick, brilliant award. Thank you very much indeed to Coningsby and to the other stations for huge efforts at getting our people doing stuff and getting us onto the sporting ladder. Brilliant. Now we're going to invite the Air Marshal to say a few words, if that's right.
So Richard, if you'd like to come up onto the stage and say a few words for us, I will give you the microphone.
Thank you very much indeed, John. So, John Knighton, Richard Knighton, we are not related. John is the only person I know who I'm not related to who shares my surname. I've now found out that he's a Foxers fan. As a Derby County fan, I am deeply disappointed, John. I'm sorry. Rich asked me to welcome the nominees, welcome their guests and to say a few thank yous. Having heard Richard do it twice, I can say not only has he eaten my sandwiches, he's eaten the rest of my lunch, my banana and my yoghurt in all the things he said earlier. But it's a real privilege to be here, and I'm frankly humbled to be here amongst real, genuine sporting greatness. We cannot do the things we do in sport in the Royal Air Force without many of you in the room here today. It's important to me that we recognise those who give their time, give their expertise, and as we heard today, who love the sports that they participate in and that they support. Today, we have recognised those who are at the pinnacle of either achievement or administration or of a lifetime of support for the sports that they love. And it is a privilege for me to be here to see that. I'm not very good at sport. I wasn't great at school, but I love being part of a team. I love being outside. I love participating in sport and being with others. As you can see from my physique, it's obvious why I am the President of Combined Services and RAF Powerlifting. I spent nearly 10 years as the chair of winter sports, and I have a wonderful relationship with the hockey teams, having played hockey, again, not to a particularly high standard. My ski instructor once described as me having my two A's mixed up, my ambition and my ability. And a little bit like that in hockey. I loved it. I could never play at the top level of sport, but to be part of it and to be part of people and work with people who are so good at it and so passionate about it and so passionate about sports really is a joy for me. And what I want to do today is thank the volunteers for all that they do to enable sport. There are 54 associations. There are hundreds, thousands actually, of people across the Air Force that give up their time, give up their money to make it possible for people in the room to succeed and people outside the room just to participate. Sport is important to us because it inculcates in us the things that matter to us as an armed force: team spirit, determination, skill, competence, and the value of being with others and working for other people. So I want to say a huge thank you today to Richard and his team and the Sports Federation for all that you do to enable us to participate and to enable sport to happen in the Air Force, and for putting on really what a wonderful lunch today and an opportunity to celebrate. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll just say thank you to Richard and the team. And despite my banter about being a Leicester City fan, Jonathan, to you and the team at BFBS, who publicise what's going on in sport right across the armed forces and have put on a wonderful show today. Jonathan, thank you for everything you've done today, but more generally for all that you do for sport in the armed forces and the RAF in particular. Thank you. Rich referred rightly to the loss of 2 of our number participating in the sports they love this year. It's a reminder to us that what we do is dangerous sometimes. It's a reminder to us that people sacrifice things to be part of that sport. We feel the loss of that amongst all of us in this family of RAF sports people. But as you've heard, there's no question in our mind that we want to continue to make sport available and continue to allow people to participate at the highest possible levels. And it's those things that will enable us as uniformed people to actually deliver when it comes to operations when we really need to. There are many challenges for us today in the Royal Air Force. We have people, as you've heard, who can't be here today. We've got Lauren, who's heading out to Shada in the next few days. But making time for sport, not time off for sport, is important. And for all of us who have a responsibility in leadership or supervisory roles, I just encourage you all to make sure you make time for sport, for yourself and for your people. And finally, money does matter. And I must thank Eamon Malloy and the Central Fund for all that you do to enable sport to occur in the Royal Air Force, both at grassroots level and right the way up to the elite level. We couldn't do it without your support, and we thank you enormously. Eamon, thank you very much. And I must also thank all of our sponsors. We are very fortunate in the Royal Air Force to have generous sponsors that enable us to have the event today. Thank you to Classic Miniatures, thank you to our sponsors for today, but more generally for the sponsorship we receive. When I talk to the sponsors, they do it because they want to enable us to participate in sport and to see people succeed and the joy that comes with participation and success. So a huge thank you to all of our sponsors. But finally, thank you all for being here today. Thank you for all of your hard work, for all of the blood, sweat and tears over this year and over many years. It is a great pleasure for me to be here. I can't thank you enough. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Have a wonderful season ahead of you. Thanks all very much.
And that brings us to the end of our coverage of the 2022 RAF Sports Awards. Congratulations to all the nominees and winners of the awards today. Sportsman, Sportswoman, Team and Official of the Year will all go on to the UCAF Sports Awards now next March. And next month we will have live coverage of the Army Sports Awards and the Royal Navy Sports Awards in December. But from me, John Knighton, and all the team, thanks so much for watching and a very good afternoon.
Well, this is the ramp that the F-35 fast jets take off from.
All the action on the exercise is taking place just a couple of hours' drive from where Estonia has her border with Russia.
It can take up to 10 hours to clean and polish all of the kit needed for both horse and rider.
How much cold, hard cash governments are going to be prepared to spend on defence and the increasingly simulated military training that comes with it.